Marsha Stephanie Blake stars in the Amazon award season contender, I'm Your Woman. Now, what was the pitch of this project to you?
The pitch came from Rachel Brosnahan herself, who plays Jean in the film. And it went something like this. Hey, I read this really great script and there's a part that I think would be perfect for you. And we were on a date, like we were going to see a theater show together, I think. So that was the extent of her pitch. And I thought, oh, great. And I said, that's really sweet. Thank you. And then we went to see a play and I forgot all about it. And then she came back again another time, mentioned it, and it seemed like it had made some, it had some movement and it was going to be a thing maybe, but with her as the lead, I didn't know she was a producer yet. And she said it again, that she was considering me for this part. And I thought it was just so sweet, but I didn't really think it was real. And she talks about it now, like, you never had confidence in me. You didn't trust me. And it's not that I didn't trust her. It's never been my experience that an actor can decide who's in the film, unless the actor is, a big producer, a big name. And Rachel is obviously a big name at Amazon, but I didn't even know she was a producer at the time. So when she was pitching me, I thought she was pitching me as an actor, not as the producer. Once I realized she had a little bit more control over things, I got the script and I loved the script. And then I met with Julia and talked to Julia, actually, Skyped with her. And then I just really wanted to be a part of it once I read what the part was. And then I got to do it with Rachel, quite frankly. I mean, I was in, if it was up to me, I would have said yes, but I felt like there were other people having to make the decision. But I definitely wanted to do something else with Rachel.
And then once you read the part, did you find yourself thinking like, oh yeah, I am perfect for this part? Like, what is it about the role that you think is suited to you?
I don't know that I don't know very many actors who are like, I am perfect for this part. Like, not in a real way. We all think we're perfect for everything because we feel like we can do anything. But in a real way, I felt like I could do this part because there's something about Terry's stoicness, her quiet. There's a line in the movie about all these quiet women. And there's something about just that she's a woman of very few words, mostly action. Even if it's not me, it's definitely how I imagine myself in if I had a perfect world and the perfect manifestation of myself, that's what I would want to be, is a woman of action and not words. And someone who is strong, purposeful, but vulnerable, and determined. Plus she has there's secrets, and I always love when a character has like a few secrets that we never really find out what they are. So there were many aspects of Terry that I loved, and the fact that it was set in the 70s and I wanted to wear cool clothes.
Yeah, I feel like there are a lot of secrets in this movie. You kind of just jump right in. You don't really know where the baby's coming from, all that kind of stuff. I'm wondering just broadly, like, what's your pitch to people who might be interested in seeing the film? What's it about?
The film, okay, it's about a regular suburban wife who may or may not have known that her husband was involved in criminal activity. Sometimes we push that off to the side and we decide what we want to acknowledge. But she finds out that he's into some really heavy stuff. Possibly he goes missing. She has to go on the run with her baby. And along the way, she meets my husband, Cal, who is sent to protect her and lead her to safety. And then he goes missing. And that's when she comes to meet me. And I am also tasked with keeping her safe and getting her to safety. And it's about women who have taken their lives into their own hands, who have decided to change their lives for the better, which means possibly getting away from their spouses, at a time when that was just unheard of, for a woman to take the reins and decide on her own destiny and figure it out, and also maybe do it with a baby in her arms.
Now, I was watching this movie ahead of this interview, and I was waiting for over an hour before you showed up. And I
Yes.
understand that this film was actually shot in order because of how fast the babies were growing. So, can you tell me about getting this meaty role, but so late in the movie, and what it was like joining the shoot, once they've been going for so long?
Oh, yeah. So it's normally that would have made me nervous, but because I had already met with everyone involved, I had time with the babies, with Rachel, with Julia. I had a little bit of time before I actually got called back to for my part. Um, so it was just like entering a family, honestly. Um, this it was harder for me to pretend to not know and love everyone around me, which is Terry is. She has a little bit of a wall. She doesn't let people in easily. And that was harder to play because the truth is we had an incredible welcoming set, and these are lovely people that I'd want to be around no matter what. And the babies were great, and their mom was great, and just everyone involved was so amazing that it was like coming home in a weird way. But it was freezing cold in Pittsburgh when I got there. And I think the first day we shot was when we were wearing the least clothing. That's always the way, right? So the first day on set was like the coldest day. It was insane. Um, so that was my actual welcome, but I was fine.
Yeah, and what stands out about this shoot that differs or that differentiates it from everything else that you've been on?
About the shoot or the film? Because the shoot, I mean, what stood out for me was on the shoot was how, uh, again, there's a family that happens, and I'm not sure. Maybe it's because Julia herself, Julia Hart, our director, is herself a mom. And so a lot of times on sets, you don't really feel like you could bring your kids around. I have kids, and I don't always feel like they can be around and they'll be welcome. I feel like they'd get in the way. And there was a feeling on this set that, wherever you were in the world, whatever your thing was, it was welcome here. It was a safe place. And you could bring your kids, you could bring your spouse. And of course, there were parameters, but it was a very open set in that way. And in terms of the film, what was different for me, similarly, was that Julia's energy as someone who is in charge, but also in charge as a director, as a writer. Her husband is there. Her kids are never far away. So she's also being a mom, but she's being like, she's in charge of these big burly teamster guys, and they're treating her with respect. And that's not, you don't always see that on a set where a woman is the helm, is at the leadership position. Sometimes her authority is undermined a lot. And I have to say, this was a very well balanced set. It was a well balanced workplace. And I believe that's conveyed in the product, in the movie that we made, you know.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. I was wondering maybe the all the action stuff would have been a bit of a different experience for you in terms of the blood and the
Uh,
cars and the.
oh, absolutely. When it comes to it, yes, because I've never done that before. I've also never, Riley, I've never really played a woman who is past her trauma. So that was different. So we'll start there. Like that was a little bit different for me because usually my characters are in the middle of the trauma and I have to live through it in the film. Whereas where Terry comes in is that she is this the trauma is past, a little bit past, right, until it's not anymore. But where she enters the film, that she's past her trauma. So that was different and a breath of fresh air, honestly. And then I get to drive. I don't even know that I've ever driven. Oh, actually, I have driven a car, but not those old, cars are so much bigger than you're used to. And even the gear changes, all that stuff is so much huger and more of a big deal. And I had to drive a truck. I had to drive a truck up a hill in the coldest but rainiest winter in Pittsburgh. And so the hill was muddy. And I had just learned to drive the truck. And now I have to drive it up this steep hill. I'd never so much as driven the truck on dirt road at all ever in my life. And I have to drive it up this dirt hill. And I was just worried of it sliding down each time. Like you have to accelerate to get it past that last little like hump, you know? And that was the hardest thing for me, was trying to accelerate in mud, icy mud, up a hill in a truck that was unfamiliar. It was crazy, but I did it. And I actually grew to love that truck. I bonded with my truck.
Now we're an awards website. You really came onto my radar a couple of years ago when you got that Emmy nomination for When They See Us. You'd obviously been on, the radar of the industry before then to get that nomination. But I'm wondering what doors you found that nomination has opened for you.
Oh my gosh, what doors hasn't it opened would be an easier question. It's incredible. And the truth is, I don't know what it is like for other people who've been nominated for things that aren't as serious or talked about. When They See Us was one of the most talked about events last year. It was on so many people's radar. It was international. I was getting approached in my career. I've been approached by people, a lot of the, let's say the Orange is the New Black fans, they want to they come over, they want a cute selfie or whatever. And then When They See Us, people didn't even want selfies. They just wanted to talk about the content. They wanted to talk about the series. They wanted to talk about working with Ava. It was such a more solemn, serious thing. And maybe every once in a while somebody would want a selfie, but very rarely. They mostly wanted to tell me about similar experiences that they'd had with their family members or themselves with the criminal justice system. So I almost said criminal injustice system. Anyway, so it was the idea of it opening doors. It was like every door you could think of. The fact that Ava is really a master at marketing her project and the people she chooses for her projects, and really when she anoints you, let's say, she really believes in you and she goes the extra mile. And I've heard her say some amazing, wonderful things about everybody who was in that cast that I didn't know about them, but she really personalizes it and takes you on almost as a project of her own in terms of where your career is going. I get text messages from her where she'll like send me a screenshot because she saw me in a film, and she'll be like, "Oh, I love seeing you everywhere." And a lot of it is due to her, because she's just really, when she's in your corner, she really is. So, as many doors as were opened, it's probably all because of Ava, including the Emmy door.
Yeah, I guess that actually was last year, and some of the awards were this year, but it feels like a long time ago.
Yeah, I know, because this has been the longest year in the history of years. That's right.
Finally, I just want to ask, are you coming back to This Is Us?
Oh, you know what? I don't know. I love how people think they tell us anything. I have no idea. I didn't even know how many times I'd be on when I was on last year. Yes, I don't know. And honestly, I don't know that they know, because that show goes back and forth so often. It plays around with time and with like who's highlighted. I don't know. I would love to. I love that set, and I love playing Asante's mom, and I would love to. That's
Okay,
all
Marsha.
I can give you.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time to chat. I'm Your Woman.
Of course.
Will be in theaters soon, and it'll be on Amazon shortly thereafter. And on goldriver.com, you can make your own Oscar, Golden Globe predictions, and all that.
Thanks, Riley.